Pranams to Sadhguru. Firstly, I would like to thank. I would like to. Uh, I would like to thank all the other presenters here who gave me a very wonderful, insightful thought-provoking presentation, which I enjoyed, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy further too. It gives me great pleasure to be presenting my talk amidst this august audience. Please give me some time. I'll share my screen. Yeah, hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. My topic for the day is Narayana Tirtha's Portrayal of Balakrishna. Narayana Tirtha is a pre-Trinity composer. Yeah, he's a pre-Trinity composer, and he holds a very important place as his compositions are very well known for his beautiful Sanskrit, interwoven into musical constraints, and have lived through the ages as well by means of the Bhajana Sampradaya tradition. After much research, it has also been established by Sri B. Natarajan that the period of Narayana Tirtha is roughly between 1675 to 1745 AD. Narayana Tirtha is an ardent devotee of Lord Krishna. He was born in Kaza of Guntur district in Andhra Pradesh. He was known by the name Govinda Shastri in his Purvashrama, and he took up to Apat Sannyasa when he was caught in a flood in the river Krishna. Narayana Tirtha became a disciple of Sri Shivaramananda Tirtha, whom he mentions in most of his works. I'll particularly be dealing with the Krishna Leela Tarangini, and in this opera, in the 7th song of the 8th Taranga in Madhyamavati Raga Atatala, in the last Charanam, he says, Veda Bhaga Vichara Jata Mati Priya Pranayena Varnita Shivarama Tirtha Padambuja Brahmarena. The musical works of Narayana Tirtha include the Krishna Leela Tarangini, Parijata Harana Nataka in Sanskrit, another Parijata Harana Nataka in Telugu, which is incomplete, and literary works include Haribhakta Sudharanava, which is a kavyam, Panchikarana Vartika Vivarana Deepika, Subhodhini, which is a commentary on Brahma Sutra, Bhattabhasha Prakasha, and Prabha, which is a commentary on Tarka Sangraha Deepika. In the Krishna Leela Tarangini, Narayana Tirtha narrates the sequences as observed in the 10th skanda of the Bhagavata from chapters 1 to 58. That is, from Krishna's birth up to Rukmini Kalyana. They have been organized into 12 tarangas, as he calls it, in Krishna Leela Tarangini, and they are as follows. The first taranga deals with the birth of Krishna. The second one deals with Putana Moksha, his childhood pranks. The third taranga with Brahma Mohana and the episode of Yajnapatnis. The fourth taranga with the reformation of Kaliya. The fifth one with Gopika Vastra Paharana and lifting of Govardhana Giri. The sixth taranga is about Gopi's communion with Krishna and the first Rasa Krida. The seventh one is Krishna's advice to the Gopis. The eighth one is when Gopis search for Lord Krishna after his disappearance, and Krishna reappears and culminates on the second Rasa Krida. The ninth taranga is Krishna's entry to Mathura. The 10th one is the slaying of Kamsa. The 11th taranga is Uddhava's visit to Brindavana and entry into Dwaraka. And the final 12th taranga is Rukmini Kalyana. In this opera, 302 slokas, 153 kirtanas, 31 churnikas are present, spread over 12 tarangas or waves. Narayana Tirtha has used different meters in these slokas, and some are mentioned here. He has predominantly used Anushtubh, Arya, Indra Vajra, Upendra Vajra have also been used, and many more listed here. In this paper, the first 5 tarangams or waves have been taken up for study, as the theme of the webinar is Balakrishna. The narrative element of the Nataka is predominantly dealt with in Gadya or Sloka forms. The Gitas, Kirtanas or Dharus are mostly descriptive in content and comprise salutations to the Lord. Narayana Tirtha commenced the work with salutations to Lord Ganesha and Garuda in the first 2 Gitas. The third song, which is in praise of Lord Vishnu, Jaya Jaya Ramanatha, Jaya Jaya Dharanatha, is the third song. Following this, there is a sloka on Lord Krishna, which is in Anushtubh Chanda again. Krishna Krishna Kripa Sindho, Bhakta Sindhu Sudhakara, Mam Uddhara Jagannatha, Maya Moha Maharnavat. Here, Krishna is described as a reservoir of compassion, Dayasindho, who is like the moon, Sudakara, for the ocean of devotees. O Lord of the worlds, liberate me from the misguiding ocean of worldly pleasures, illusion, and infatuation, moha. In the first charana of the sixth Gita, in this first tarangam itself, Narayana Tirtha says, Ramakrishna Govindeti Nama Samprayoge Kamiha Snatavyam Sarvottama Prayage. Here, he says the uttering of Rama, Krishna, and Govinda in unison is equal to the holy waters of the Prayag, which is more pure than the holiest of waters. Let us all drench ourselves in the holy Prayag by doing Nama Sankirtana. The importance of Nama Sankirtana has been beautifully highlighted in this sloka, and I thought I'd share. The next sloka I'll be dealing with mentions Krishna as the Supreme Lord after Yashoda sees him effortlessly killing Putana, Shakata, and Trinavarta even as a baby. Nihate Shakate Padabhyam Trinavarte cha Mardithe Krishnena Vishnuna Soyam Swastaha Kridati Balavat. Having killed Sakatasura, who was seated on a toy placed in the cradle of baby Krishna with his bare feet. Trinavarte cha Mardate, Trinavarta, a demon in the form of a cyclone. Lord Krishna, who is clearly a manifestation of Lord himself, Krishnena Vishnuna Soyam, Swasta Kridati Balavat. He plays just as if he's an ordinary boy. He has also used Upajati meters, which are predominantly used in Telugu and Kannada literature. For instance, the Dvipada, which is the most popular of the Upajati meters, which has 3 Indraganas and a Suryaganas. 3 Indraganas which have 5 or 4 syllabic units per feet, and Suryagana having 3 syllabic units per feet. And every line having 2 such padas, hence the name Dvipada, is illustrated here. In this Dvipada, Yashoda describes Balakrishna in awe as she realizes that he is Lord Vishnu himself. Sakala Lokadhara Satchidakara Prakatita Agamajala Padma Vilola. O thou who is the primordial driving force of the entire world, embodiment of Sat and Chit, Prakatita Agamajala, who shines bright with the wisdom of the Agamas, Padma Vilola, who rejoices with his consort Mahalakshmi, Aganita Gunagrama, who is an embodiment of innumerable good virtues, Atma Bhirama, who delights the soul, Mriga Madankita Phala, who has the Kasturi Tilaka on his forehead, Mitra Nukula, who always protects his friends, Nagaraja Varadhira, who is as strong as the king of mountains, the Himalayas, Nana Vihara, whose leelas are innumerable, Khagarajavaha, who rides on the king of birds, Garuda, Khagaraja, who emancipates us from the worldly pleasures, and so on. Nirgata Bhava Moha. I'm just taking first few charanas or first few lines of but these compositions tend to be a little longer than this. For the purpose of the presentation, I just take up 3 or 4 lines to demonstrate. The Gopikas too begin to realize that it is the Supreme Lord who is playing amidst them. And here is presented a Kirtana in which one Gopi sings to another as they play with Lord Krishna. Krishnam kalaya sakhi sundaram Balakrishnam. Hey Sakhi, always meditate on this epitome of beauty who assumes the form of a small child, Balakrishna. Krishnam gata vishayat Krishnam, he who detaches from the transient world. Jagat Prabha Vishnum, who is the Lord of the universe. Surari Gana Jeshnum, who is the destroyer, Jishnu of the enemies of good people, Suras. Meditate on that Balakrishna always. Sada Balakrishnam Kalaya Sakhi Sundaram. Nrityantamiha, he who keeps dancing 1 minute. Muharatyanta Aparimita, and suddenly makes us relish and realize Bhrityanukula Makila Satyam. Makes us relish and realize the all-pervading primordial truth. Always worship that Balakrishna, Sada Balakrishna. Dhiram Bhavajaladi Param, O brave one who helps us cross the ocean of worldly pleasures. Sakala Vedasaram, the essence of all the Vedas. Samasta Yogi Taram, who protects all the yogis from the worldly pleasures. Always worship that Balakrishna, Sada Balakrishna. Shrangara Rasa Bhara Sangeeta Sahitya Gangalahari Kela Sangam Sada Balakrishnam. He who rejoices the union of music and poetry, which is filled with Shringara Rasa and is like the waves of the river Ganga. Always meditate on him. Narayana Tirtha's language is abundant with prosodic embellishments of Mohana, Dvityakshara Prasa and Antya as can be seen here as well. Krishnam Kalaya Sakhi Sundaram Balakrishnam. Krishnam Gata Vishaya Trishnam. Krishnam and Trishnam come in Dvityakshara Prasa. And so as in Vishnum and Jishnum. Another wonderful sloka in the second Taranga, which is presented after a Gadyam, where the friends of Yashoda complain of Krishna helping all the Gopa boys to steal the curd and milk from pots which are actually tied very high. After having his fill, he gives all the remaining to the others surrounding him, including cats and other creatures and animals. Yashoda's reply is given here in the form of a sloka. Vittam, Vittam, Vrajabhuvi Sukham Paryatantam Mukundam. He who wanders around in the streets of Vrindavan according to his wish, and happily Madhye Madhye Hrita Dadi Payah. He happily consumes the milk and curd kept in every house happily. Payantam Pibantam. Buddhau Buddhavaham iti. In truth, he is actually the Paramatma who by these leelas makes it clear to those who think that they are the wise. Buddhau Buddhavaham iti. Svantamabhasayantam. For them, the ego is seated so firmly in their minds. For them, he makes it clear that it is me. I am the Paramatma who is actually making you. So you have to keep thinking of me, is what he tries to prove with this, is what she says. So saying, Yashoda signals to Krishna to hug her from behind in an appeasing manner. Anunaya. In the third Taranga, Balakrishna is a small boy who takes the cows and calves for grazing. This act is commenced with all the celestial beings singing the praise of Lord Krishna. Alokaye Shri Balakrishnam Alokaye Sakhi Ananda Sundara Tandava Krishnam Alokaye. Behold Balakrishna, O friend, who dances beautifully in ecstasy. Navanita Khanda Dadhi Chora Krishnam. Behold that butter thief who likes the fresh scoop of butter. Navanita Khanda, who emancipates his devotees from the ties of worldly pleasures. Bhakta Bhava Pasha Bandhana Mochana. Bhakta Bhava Pasha Bandhana Mochana Bala Krishnam Alokaye. Neelamega Shyamala Sundara Krishnam. Behold that beautiful one, hued like the dark blue cloud. Nitya Nirmalananda Bodha Lakshana Krishnam, the embodiment of pure, endless wisdom and the delightful truth. In the 80th and 81st sloka, we have the Brahma Mohana episode, where Brahma, after seeing Lord Krishna playing with his friends on the fields, playing his flute, Lord Brahma falls prey to illusion and hides away his friends and calves. In this following sloka, again in Anushtup Chandas, Kriteshu Vatsala Baleshu Nyatva Vidhi Vicheshtitam. Upon noticing that the calves and his friends being thieved, Krishna understands, Nyatva, that it is the foul play of Brahma. Tanmatristo Soshayam Yamasa Swayam Vasadi Dehabak, and takes the form of calves and gopas and delights their mothers. Itham Bhutam Harim Drishtva Vatsarante Vidhi Swayam. Thus for a year, Krishna resides as all the calves and gopas in the entire Gokula. Sandarshita Jagatkoti Shariram Stauti Sadharam, till the day when Brahma feels ashamed of his act and extols him, Stauti, as the all-pervading Supreme Paramatma. In the fifth Taranga, Narayana Tirtha talks about Gopika Vastraharanam. This is here the dialogue between gopis and Lord Krishna is recorded in the form of a dharu. Lord Krishna, as he resides away, as he hides away the gopis' clothes when they bathe, is given here in the form of a Gita. Here each charana constitutes a question and Krishna's reply. Avaranam mama nahi te datum bhavaya gopa vadhu janabrinda. The Krishna says, "O gopis, I do not have any garment in my possession to give you." The gopis reply, "Oh, endless one, please return that garment which you took from us." Mamanitam dehi vibho bhavata tadananta. For that, Krishna replies, "Oh gopis, in my knowledge, there is nothing that I own, nor do I see anything which belongs to another. Nitam naiva maya parakiyam naiva." Then the gopis say, "Oh dear one, please return that garment which I asked you to keep. That is mine. Give it to me." Aha grihana bhavaniti purvam dehi tadavaranam mama bandho. So Krishna replies, "Akshita nimilinameva mayoktam sakshadiha tu grihanaavaranam. I only meant that my closed eye is the drape. Here, take it from me." And he closes his eyes. So the gopis say, "O Lord of the worlds, that garment which is defined as a dress for seeing us, alokana, please give it to me. Lokalokana vihitavaranam lokeshwaram mama dehi samudditam." Krishna is not going to give it back again. So he says, "Lokasyavaranam na vidhatum loke kopi samartha purushah." Oh gopis, there is no one in this world who's capable of hiding anything from the world. So what do you want? He asks. Then the gopis say, "Oh Lord, give me that kind of a garment which will prevent someone from seeing me." Kashchan nalokayati yatha saman kalaya tathavidam meva avaranam. So Krishna says, "Whomsoever it be will not see what cannot be seen, however contradictory it may be." And so goes the conversation. But the gopis don't, Krishna doesn't give up. "Oh Lord of the universe, we are worthy of sight, but please give us back our garments." Then Krishna says, "There is nothing that cannot be seen. So there is no need of these belittled garments." And so goes the conversation. And finally, Gopi say, "Oh Lord, asmabhirna vidheyam kimapi hyapagatam machyutam hyapagatam achyuta tadvata Bhagavan." We don't know what we should wear. "Oh, that Lord who stole everything from us, please tell us what we should wear." And they all give up. And finally it says, Shivanarayana Tirtha Sangeetam, Shivanarayana Tirtha Sugeetam, Srihari Gopi Jana Samvada. Thus sings Shivanarayana Tirtha, the conversation between Lord Krishna and the gopis. The final episode that I would want to mention here is, again in the 5th Taranga, which is the lifting of the Govardhana mountain. The following sloka, Kruddasya Tasmadindrasya Vavarshu Satatam Ghanaha Gokulam Vyakulam Tasmadvilokaya Dritavan Girim. The rain clouds which were summoned by the angst of Indra, Kruddasya Tasmadindrasya, produced heavy rains to relieve the puzzled people of Gokula. That is Gokulam Vyakulam. Tasmad Avalokaya Dritavan Girim. Krishna lifted the Govardhana hill. And then what happened? As Lord Krishna held up the Govardhana hill, Chatri Krita Girirajo, he held up the Govardhana hill as if it was an umbrella. Rakshita Gopala Go Ghana Samaje. He protected the animals and Gopas, Gopikas and all the people there by lifting it up like an umbrella. Govinde Tamanantam Bhaktya Gopyo Jagu Param Tushta. All the devotees, gopis started rejoicing and singing the praise of the Paramatma Swarupa, Lord Krishna. And I would like to conclude with this composition here. Govardhana Giridhara Govinda Gokulapalaka Paramananda. O Govinda, thou who lifted the Govardhana hill to protect the people of Gokula. O epitome of happiness, Paramananda. Srivatsankita Shri Kaustubhadara, thou who wears the Srivatsa mark on his forehead and the Kaustubha gem. Bhavakabayahara, who destroys the fear that is actually imaginary in nature. Pahi Mukunda, protect me, O Mukunda. With this, I would like to conclude. My conclusions are based on the observations of the author of Venkatesha Priya, which is a Tamil commentary written by Sri Varahu Brahma Sri Guru Swami Shastrigal, whose interpretation largely consulted for the presentation of this paper. Narayana Tirtha's depiction of the incidents of the Nataka closely replicates the elements as seen in the Dasamaskanda of Bhagavata, keeping to the thin line between the Sringara and Madhura Bhakti elements. As observed by the narrative elements of the Nataka is predominantly dealt with in Gadya and Sloka forms, and the Gitas, Kirtanas or Dharus are mostly descriptive in content or comprises salutations to the Lord. Finally, I would like to thank all the organizers of this August organization for having given me this opportunity to present my thoughts on Narayana Tirtha's portrayal of Balakrishna.